Good morning, friends. I come to you live from the deck outside my parents' home in Michigan that we are putting on the market in a number of weeks. And this may be my last stream from this space. And I decided to do something new, stepping outside, changing the landscape, not just physically, but in terms of our philosophical and psychological perception of where we are. So much of what I have done so far is been inside, right? When I started my show, before it was live, I would sometimes be outside different locations. And then I came to the conclusion that for the algorithm, I should be consistent. But fuck the algorithm. Everything goes out the window under fascism. I need to shake us up and focus on what we need to focus on now, which is how to come together, how to end the circling firing squad, how to stop blaming people. I could go on, and I could probably blame Merrick Garland for the rest of my life, but that is at this point a cop out. Reaching out when I did made sense because there was something I thought I could do when I criticized. Now I know down to my bones that we must come together to resist and dismantle the fascist regime that we are living under. And it became abundantly clear yesterday. Now, I happened to take yesterday off because I did not have wireless set up in my new condo in Detroit. And I happened to stay at my parents' house. That's why I'm here right now, because I'm dealing with the moving situation. But thank God I took a moment on St. Patrick's Day to watch what unfolded yesterday in the news. Because I think for me, yesterday, March 17th, 2025, or maybe you could just say the Ides of March from a couple days before. I think the Ides of March was almost the point of no return for where we are. And I'm not trying to frighten you. I don't mean no return like there's no end in ever, but I'm saying no return for like 5, 10, 15 years. I'm not fucking around with you guys. We are at a point, as you know, where Donald Trump is now in a complete mental meltdown. The man is not right. And I know you may say it's more than that. He's always been like this. Folks, I need to focus us on the language that I believe resonates and will work. Day one, I told you stop the steal with Elon Musk, right? The bottom line is what is penetrating in America are two things. Donald Trump is fucked up in the head and is a puppet being manipulated by Elon Musk. Yes, I know, and Putin, but it is going to be the Musk piece because that is something that there's no wedge yet in society. The whole Putin thing, you and I know about the Russian interference, but that is so loaded with Donald Trump's rhetoric. Where we are right now is Donald Trump is in the middle of a complete mental breakdown. He has no idea about reality. He says shit that hurts him. He wants to drive the country into a recession that all the economists and everyone other than people who are on his payroll agree is an utter disaster for the country and for anything he is trying to do that is lasting, that would help him convince people that he is the fabulous businessman that is going to treat America like a successful business as opposed to what he is treating it like just every fucking business he bankrupts, but milks for his own paycheck, right? And Elon Musk is following his pattern of jumping into an established business and extracting from it, as June Carbone said, as much wealth as he can, and then stripping it of any fucking decency, turning it into a Nazi cesspool, or blowing up rockets and driving the stock price down. So, again, let's come together first, recognizing that this is fascism, that Elon Musk has bought our country, that Donald Trump pimped out America, and America has been trafficked to a racist, ketamine addicted, white supremacist, klepto fucking cratic asshole named Elon Musk. We need to rescue America from his clutches, period. And you may also notice that I am doing a direct to camera with you. I have not pulled up any clips today, and I ain't going to. Today is a show that's more of an editorial coming right from my heart and my mind. No notes, friends. No notes. Look, mom, no handlebars, right? This is just straight to you. You know damn well that you are going to be seeing around the clock if you choose. And I recommend checking in, not around the clock, checking into cable news. Because today is a huge day. Donald Trump and his, let's go to the law piece. Donald Trump and his border czar, Tom Homan, have made 100% clear that they are going to defy judges' orders. In fact, they defied Judge Boasberg's order the other day when he said, listen, guys, these men that you deported, activating the Alien Enemies Act, and just took them out of America and said they were from a Venezuelan gang, no due process, no evidence in some case because they had a rose tattoo. Doesn't matter. We don't just pull people off the street. Deported them and sent them to El Salvador, where we are in cahoots with El Salvador to have them hold these men for us to do prison labor. Folks, it ain't no metaphor anymore. The government is pulling people off the street without due process, disappearing them, brutalizing them, and putting them in prison camps. And you may say, fuck it. They probably were in gangs. I don't care. Guys, do I need to modify the Niemauer poem? I'm probably saying his name wrong. First, they came for the guys with tattoos who might have been in Salvadoran gang, but I did nothing because I don't have a fucking rose tattoo. No, guys. They come for us. I mean, and you know, our humanity should say, even if they don't ever get to us, this is us, US. This is a violation of the Constitution. So Judge Boasberg said at this hearing, stop immediately sending people. And with the planes that are in the air right now, Donald Trump's administration, turn them the fuck around. And Donald Trump didn't. And his lawyers, I don't know if this was in court or elsewhere, because there was this is out loud before we get to a follow-up hearing over so this, by the way, this hearing happened over the weekend. The judge was on vacation. It was like a weekend. And he zoomed in to this emergency hearing and apologized that he didn't have his judicial robes, but he doesn't travel with them in his car because he's not that kind of guy. Makes sense. He makes his order over the weekend. Well, yesterday, finding out that the planes didn't turn around, and of course, like on social media and in the news and in the White House press room, the justification was, you aren't going to fucking believe it. Oh, by the time the judge made the ruling, they claimed the planes were above international waters on their way to Nicaragua. International fucking waters. You mean over the Gulf of America, dudes? Okay, so we call it the Gulf of America, but when we want to violate the Constitution, they're going to call it the Gulf of Mexico, international waters, whatever. The judge yesterday brought the lawyer in front of him and asked him a series of questions, and the lawyer refused to answer. Total defiance, double defiance of the judge's order. So the judge said yesterday, this is Boasberg, by noon today, he wants answers specifically. He wants the names of the men on the planes, and and he wants to know if any of them were like where the planes were. I think basically, I'm kind of improvising here, but something like where exactly where the planes were. Like, did any planes continue their flights after he ordered they get turned around? Something close to that. So that is happening. Now, friends, lawyers would call this taking people off the street and without due process and putting them in prison camps. Lawyers might call and you say you file an action for habeas corpus, right? This is at the heart of things. No other president that I know, when it wasn't wartime, has ever suspended habeas corpus, the ability to demand release. Now, you might remember President Lincoln did back during the Civil War, but my understanding is he made a list of the people that he was keeping and not releasing during a war. This is just one topic, and I'm not going to run them all down, right? Mahmoud Khalil is still being held in Louisiana. We have people from Canada who have not been released, who were trying to cross into the border and the visa wasn't valid. We have a doctor who had, I believe, is a permanent resident of the US who was on her way back to the States and they refused to let her in. I mean, guys, it's here. We're at the part of the movie where all of a sudden the penny is dropping for the audience or for the people in the film. Because you know the thing is, guys, when they show the movie about the Holocaust or about Santiago Stadium in Pinochet's Chile, when they show us the goddamn movie, guys, it's years later. So we, the audience, already know what's coming. But it's the people in the movie who are like, oh, this looks like it's bad. And then there are the people, you know, there are always two types. Oh, it's going to be fine. And I always, my friends, used to criticize oh, it's going to be fine people because you're all like, what fucking douchebags. They should have gotten a bank account in the US, hopped on a flippin' boat or what have you, and got the F out of Dodge. And the way I grew up, my family was always like, oh, we would have gotten out of there the first sign of trouble in Germany. Because, you know, our families came to America in the late 1890s, early 20th century because the Tsar sucked. And we got out of Eastern Europe, yada, yada, yada. Now, of course, I had other relatives who didn't make it to America, made it to England, and they came over here in the early 20th century, whatever. All before Hitler, it turns out. Well, no one talks about the family members who got left behind in my family. But the point is this: the minute Donald Trump got elected in 2016, I saw the Dust Bowl was coming. We knew this was crazy shit. And the only thing that gave me hope was when Biden was elected, right? Well, we are now, it has never been, Donald Trump has never, ever, he's mentally fucked in the head. He's never admitted publicly that he doesn't deserve to be a president for life. And Elon Musk, who would love that job himself, but under the Constitution cannot because he is a naturalized citizen, um, Donald Trump will do anything to stay out of prison and do anything to save face. And he's a complete lunatic. So that's where we are. And the only good thing I can say is no man is immortal. Plus, thank God, you're not going to believe me, I'm going to say this, but thank God the Supreme Court said that when Donald Trump leaves office, he can't be prosecuted pretty much for anything he did in office, which means maybe he'll fucking go away and not like when, you know, maybe he won't try to cheat or what have you to stay in office. I know I'm that's kind of hopeful and beyond it. Okay, so what do I say to you, prison mates? How do we protect our physical, our relational, our intellectual, our spiritual, and our mental health. How do we do it? They say it. They say, go out and touch grass. I'm literally doing it. I am out here breathing in fresh air, coming to you. It's a little chilly. I hear the geese in the background. I can turn around and the water on the lake is moving and there's no ice on it, but there's still a chill in the air. And I feel, and you can see my breath coming out as fog, right? And we are on the edge of spring. Winter can be over if we want it. What do I suggest you do? One, look at the gorgeous, beautiful world, nature, your family, and find joy and love in that. And at the same time, we need to stand up now. We can stop this rolling tank that is going to smash over all of spring's bounty. And I have heard that there is going to be, I think it's either April 4th or April 5th, nationwide protests. Look out for them. I'll be telling you more about that tomorrow. And also, no more fights, not with anyone. Yeah, do I want Schumer to step down? Yes, I can say that. But I'm not going to, I'm going to say this is the action that should be taken in the future. And I'm not going to say he fucked up. He made the decision he did. I don't like it. Let's move forward. Similarly, you've got some Trump supporting relatives, you got whatever, you got someone who's farther to the left than you, farther to the center, you got someone who wears shoes you don't like. Stop it. We don't have the luxury to be divided right now. The other thing, before I leave, that brings me joy, my friends, is Tesla stock keeps plummeting. And there are people who say, though it's not been substantiated, that there's a price below which Musk's stock goes where it becomes a cascading failure for him. Why? Because you know this thing I think I've talked about how the wealthy do engage in buy, borrow, die. Like he hasn't like you don't necessarily sell like a lot of his wealth, good chunk of it is Tesla stock. And instead of selling it, why would you sell an asset that you think is going to increase in value? He would borrow against it as collateral, right? Collateral. So you spend a little, but you borrow, kind of like you put 20% or 10% down to buy a house, or you put a few thousand to buy a car. What's the collateral? That asset? Well, in his case, what he does, he uses his stock to buy things, puts a little money down, buys a yacht, puts a little money down, buys Twitter. What does he pledge in case he can't pay back the lenders? Well, Tesla stock. So there's this thing called a margin call. And there is a number. People say it's $115. I have no fucking idea. I didn't do the math. But there's a number below which Elon Musk loses not just $100 billion, which he has, but loses like it all falls apart and he gets margin calls. And maybe even the people he invested in Twitter with kick him off. I don't know. So I keep hoping that happens. And I want to tell you this thing. No one in Germany, almost no one will buy a Tesla anymore. Tesla is the swastika car worldwide. And you rarely see them anymore. At least I've seen a couple of them. But I want to say this out where I live in the burbs, well, out where my parents live up in the burbs in Michigan. I one day did see like a protest outside of a Tesla, but recently in this, sort of Tony neighborhood, whatever, on this, in a strip mall, which has everything is done out here. Like there's this giant um, Tesla showroom. No protest, but the other day I'm driving by because a Tesla uh, showroom is right across the road from one of my favorite restaurants, the Stage Deli. I mean, you cannot beat that mushroom barley soup. And I don't care if it's a vegetable base. Please don't tell me it's a beef base. I don't want to know. Anyway, homemade gefilte fish to die for. The smoked sable is like butter. And listen, I will even eat a new dill pickle there and not a sour dill because that's how good that fucking place is. Anyway, so I go by the stave jelly, the other day to pick up my takeout order. And I notice I thought, is that a sign? In front of like they have these shrubs in front of the Tesla showroom. And I'm like, what is that thing blowing around? What is that? It was like a garbage bag, like from the, not garbage bag, I'm sorry. It was a grocery bag, like one of those thin white grocery bags that they still have in some parts of the country. And it had gotten caught in the shrubbery and it was just sort of tumbling, kind of blowing, blowing, blowing. And I'm like, oh, too bad. It's not a sign. Well, a week later, I go to the stage again. I'm like, I'm going to come in and get something. And lo and behold, that bag, that white, cheap, flimsy grocery bag was still caught in the same shrub. So the people who run the fucking showroom don't even know that it's a fucking garbage heap. Guys, I don't know if there's a metaphor there, but there might be. Now, oof, I felt chilled to my bones last night when I was up late and the night before. No. So this one I'm going to tell you. I'm telling you from the night before. A couple nights ago, I woke up at 3 in the morning, the way I used to during the first Trump presidency. Kind of like a primitive instinct that if you are living by the heat and light of a campfire, of the fire, that someone has to watch the fire to make sure it's still burning so you don't freeze. And I know it wasn't my job probably to do that, but maybe it was my job to make sure the person who was supposed to keep the fire burning had. I don't know, but I was up at 3 in the fucking morning. And so I didn't check Twitter. I checked Blue Sky, of course. And I find out that Donald Trump has put out this true social post, totally unhinged, mental breakdown kind of shit, where he is actually claiming that none of the pardons that Joe Biden issued to Trump's mortal enemies, that none of them, and I know it's cold out here, so this is actually iced. It is not hot. So those pardons, Donald Trump is claiming are ineffective and he declares they don't exist. And his theory is because Joe Biden used something called an auto pen to sign this. And my understanding is an auto pen is so you don't have, I don't know if you ever sign lots of things, your hand gets tired. Auto pen is you have a pen that is designed to write your signature just like you do, like Donald does, right? And it will just do that. So you'd sit there with the documents and you go, yeah, okay. So, this is a stack of documents. These are pardons for 10 people. You don't want to sign them? The pen will. How does Donald Trump know about the fucking pen and what? And okay, Donald Trump pardoned over 1,500 people, I believe the numbers are 1,700 people, over 1,500 people involved in the January 6th riots, including some who engaged in violence, right? Do you think he signed his signature 1,500 times? Of course not. It's been on his mind since then. Well, this is why he's mentally unstable. If he raises the specter of using the auto pen as making a pardon ineffective, what happens to the ones he signed? Right? So that's kind of Looney Tunes. But secondly, one of the things the Supreme Court said was at the core of a president's executive authority is the right to pardon. I am quite certain that you cannot undo another president's pardon because when Joe Biden engaged in these pardons, it was an absolute power. So Donald Trump has come up with what he thinks is a genius idea to suggest it wasn't Joe Biden. He didn't even know who he pardoned. Well, bullshit. He made a statement about these pardons. Remember how much fucking shit people gave him when he announced that he was, in fact, pardoning his son? Okay. So this, though, chilled me. In addition, yesterday, we find out that he has unilaterally pulled Secret Service protection from it's Hunter Biden, and I'm forgetting now who the other person is. You guys can probably name that for me. Susan Thompson may know. We have even another court case happening today at 3 p.m. Eastern. So it's going to be a big court day today. And tomorrow, when I come back to you, I will be reporting from Midtown Detroit. And I haven't decided, guys, whether I'm going to be inside of my condo or I'm going to be at a street scene. But I think it's going to be inside because when you're in a city, it's a lot noisier. And I don't think I'm going to be able to stream outside of my building. But the point, my friends, I have for you, but we'll see. There is a really cool coffee shop that I might be able to use. Anyway, I want to vote, you guys. You tell me. Tell me in the comments. I want to know. Do you like the idea of me coming to you live from outside? Assuming for a moment that I will include video clips in the future. But do you like a natural setting more than indoors? Is this something that makes you feel like you should also get outside into nature? Anyway, who is the other person? Um, who is the other person? Oh, Hunter and Ashley Biden, Joe Biden's children. Basically, and not only is he pulling the Secret Service protection, but by announcing that, he's put a fucking target on them. The man is a monster and he is utterly, utterly deranged. And he is having his strings pulled by this unaccountable kleptocrat, Elon Musk. Enough is enough. And with this, my friends, I'm going to sign off. Love you all. I give you my, imprimatur to stamp of approval to use this moment however you want. But I would suggest if you normally spent the next 20 minutes together with all of us, go outside if you can. Go look at the sky. It's gorgeous. It's blue here. Listen to nature. If you're in a city, walk down a street. If you're not mobile right now, maybe get on the phone and call a friend. Get in touch. We are going to need this balance now more than ever. And then let's go fight fascism together. Love you all.